Hello everyone, thank you for joining, watching video. Make sure you like it, share it please. Today I'll be going over, I had a lot of requests how to build my MCP. I did it myself, DIY. It was the first time building something. So a lot of people were asking me how did I do this or that, they're looking for plans or things online to kind of build one. There's a lot of information online, especially if you go to a specific website or a plugin or program that is going to go over how to build it. But still, there's gonna be some adjustments you need to make. You're still gonna have to kind of DIY, especially if you don't have a PCB board. If you're gonna be wiring everything directly to your to your Arduino. So basically, that plugin that you're gonna use is what's gonna define which setting on the cables or hardware, the way you connect it, how is it gonna work. So far, the one I built, as you can see behind me, I'll get a close up in a little bit. I used Simvim. They're really good at everything is explained by all the way from the switches to the LEDs to the wire and everything. They have a lot of information. I use their plugin, their software completely just to build the MCP. Now remember, if you're gonna be building just one MCP, not a full cockpit, it's fine to use the Mega R3, the 2560. But if you're gonna be building a whole cockpit, then you're gonna have to look more into using multiplexers, which basically is an extension board and things like that. I only use one, so like that you have enough room to put all your switches and plug and push buttons and things like that on your wiring to the Mega. I bought the panel online. I tried myself building. I have a few right here. I built it myself this using my 3D printer. But it didn't quite work out. I didn't really like the finish, or when you do it yourself, it's not the same thing. Especially for me, it was the first time. So I went online and I bought. I have to look exactly where I bought it from. I forgot. I think it's Open Cockpits. But there are different panels that you can buy. The wiring and the switches is still gonna be probably the same. Now remember, depending on what plugin you use, every plugin uses the wiring can be a little bit different. For example, in Simvim, you cannot daisy chain the 7 segments. You use a multiplexer. For myself, I only needed one multiplexer, and it was the extension. It was basically for the push buttons. And the 7-segment displays I just wired directly to the board. I didn't really need to create more extensions, since right now I'm not building a whole cockpit. I'll be doing that in a few months. For the wiring and things like that, make sure you look online, look in Simvim or things like that. Make sure you don't use a stranded wire type of wire. I made that error, and I'll show you guys later. But it's very messy now. The beginning it looked really nice, but then when you start adding up cables, it looked really starts getting messy. I really recommend this wire I have right here. There's a solid core wire. You're gonna hear a lot of people saying that it breaks and things like that. It's not that brittle. It's actually pretty good, really good quality. And you can bend it, twist it together to make sure everything's kind of neat. I started using this more towards the end. Remember something though, this was, I just want to make sure everybody knows that this was my first time building something like this. I don't have any experience in soldering wires or anything that has to do with this type of electronics. It was my first time, and I'm just trying to share with everyone what I kind of did and how it came out. I'll go now and show you guys a little close-up of the MCP, and then I'll go over everything else, alright? See you in a little bit. Alright. So getting back to the build, so far right now I'm almost done. I'm just missing one LED here, and that's about it. Oh, and over here the heading selector and the back selector. I'll show you guys how I did it. There's a lot of tutorials online, how I said, especially if you're gonna build something like this, I recommend going from, Simvim was the program I use in the plugin. It's really good, very effective. It really helps you, whenever you're in trouble and you're connecting the wrong wire or things like that, you can basically go back and forth and look at the information, and they have basically everything detailed there, from the push buttons to LED to wiring to everything. So you go from there, and then basically you're not gonna be using a PCB board. Basically the motherboard, you're gonna be wiring everything straight to your Arduino, the USB interface. Now I recommend using the 2560 R3. That's the one I use. Using a shield that basically goes on top, and it's just a plug. You plug it right in, and that's how you're gonna go ahead and have the the cables, you can go back and forth and take them out, put it back again, screw them in, and you can play with it if you put something wrong. Now, as you can see, for the LED lights, everything works, so you can plug it. It's engage. There's the course, altitude, right? Heading, I don't have it yet connected. The speed. This side over here, I don't know if you can see. There's auto trim. There you see. What else? FD on. You see it lights up right here. Everything works basically. Now I'm pretty sure here on the video it looks right here, the LED, you can see like the light is coming over through lines. That's only, I don't know why it happens, only when you record it with the camera or phone or whatever, you're gonna see that light, like basically the green LED coming out through the sides. But when you're actually in person seeing it right to a face, over here on the faceplate, it doesn't really come out. It looks really neat. I know online you're gonna see that even on Simvim they tell you to use resistors. I didn't use them because I wired them directly to the board. Resistors was gonna control your current depending on the brightness, the level. But I didn't use it. I just plug it in just straight like that, a direct connection. It worked perfectly fine. As you can see, I don't lose any power. They don't flicker or anything when I turn on multiple of them at the same time. So here's some of the hardware I used. This push button, I'll put a link where about them. Basically, it's very simple. It's a green LED. It's not a Cori type. The difference is when it's a Cori type, when you push it in, basically it's gonna light it up. The current's gonna pass by, and when you push it again, it's gonna come off. This one is actually what you wire it to directly the LED. It's a separate wiring from the actual button itself. So basically, it's whatever program or simulator you're using is actually sending a signal that you have that on the cockpit, and it lights it up. It's very easy to connect. You're gonna see that if you buy the panel I bought, it comes with 3 different panels: the faceplate, the one that goes right behind it that secures everything in place, and the third plate, which is basically just an acrylic one, the back plate, where you're gonna mount some of, especially the switches, the push buttons. Now, when you wire this, you're gonna see it has 6 pins in the back. You're only gonna use 2 of these pins for the push button. So basically, one is ground and one is to the pin in your board, depending on the assignment you made in pin number 1, 2, 3, all the way to 70 something. Then over here for the LEDs, the same thing. You're gonna use one for the ground and one for the pin that you assign on the board. Now remember, you can daisy chain the ground, so you have a common ground between all of them. It's very easy to do, but just be careful when you do it. I actually made that error, and I had all the buttons line up in the MCP, and then I wired the ground in the top one, let's say, on all of them, but on some of them I didn't notice, and I wired the bottom pin, so it was giving me an error, so I had to rewire everything. But basically what you want to do is a ground, solder it to the other push button and keep going on a daisy chain. And then the other one, you're gonna wire one cable to each push button, and that's what's gonna send the signal. You're gonna connect that to your Mega, to your Arduino, and it's what's gonna send the signal to basically to the push button every time the input you push it in. For the LED, same concept. You're gonna push one you're gonna solder one wire for the pin and one for the ground, common ground. I actually daisy chain all the grounds from the push buttons together, and I daisy chain all the ground cables, the common ground, from the LEDs together. For the encoder, I used this one. I don't know if you can see right here. It's just a common encoder, really cheap to buy. I used that one, and I started using the one that has like a little line in the middle. They both work the same. This one is also very simple. Remember, everything that I'm saying you can also look up on Simvim or even online. It's gonna tell you how to wire this. So typically you're gonna have 3. This 3 right here is the only ones that you're gonna wire in a rotary sensor. So encoder, I'm sorry. So one is gonna be basically up, one down, and the middle one is ground. So that's all you have to do. So there are 3 wires to this, and you're gonna assign. When you assign it on the program, I'll show you on the programmer. In Simvim, you basically, if you choose pin number 1, it's gonna assign 1 and 2. So basically, it's gonna tell if you go this way, it goes up, or this way, it goes down. and then the middle one is the common ground that you can daisy chain also. Sometimes you're gonna see that if you wire it backwards, it might go the opposite way. So you can either move it around, switch it around the cable and the pin, or you can use in Simvim, it has the option right there on the plugin in X-Plane or whatever simulator you're using to actually invert the signal. For this right here, the toggle buttons, I use a regular on-off. So basically, you see 1, 2, 1, 2. That's it, and they work fine. You see 1, 2. Now for over here for the heading and the bank selector, I'm still working on it. I bought this one. It's a 12 position. There's different ones you can buy online. I really recommend looking at Simvim. I bought this in the beginning. Maybe I'll buy a different one if I were to make this again. But hey, it's working. So this is something I made. So it looks kind of crazy, I know. Sorry about that. I'm not a professional in this, but what I did is basically I drill a hole right in the middle through here, right? And it came out through here. So I don't know if you can see it right there. So then in the back, let me show you this one with a close up. So you're gonna see there's 12 positions, but here, as you can see in the MCP, you're gonna need only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, right? 10 positions. Depending on what cockpit are you using, you're going from, if you're using the NG or you're using the 737. What you do is, depending on how many options for the bank selector you need. So let's say you need only 4, 10, 30, 10, 30, or 10, 20, 30, depending on the bank. That's where you're gonna wire these cables right here. So these ones, what I did is you can wire 2 of them together or 3. So you basically, out of 12 pins, you're only choosing you're making really 4 bigger pins. So when you move this around, you don't have to be going really precise to go into a different bank. All you have to do is basically, it's gonna have more rotation, more options. So as you can see right here, I have 1, 2, 3 pins to 1 wire. I don't know if you can see. So I have 1, 2, 3, and then I have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 1, 2. So basically now when I go right here on the bank selector, I can move this, and I'm gonna be able to choose the bank. So for the heading, and then in the middle, I actually use a drill bit. I didn't have anything else. This is gonna be the encoder, which is gonna be your heading. How you select it? So you see it moves. So right there. So now when you buy your knobs, you're gonna buy the first one that goes in, the smaller one, and you start it with a screw right here. It's gonna move. Let me see if I can show you. It's gonna move this part, and then the other one, once you put it in, you're gonna screw it to this, and basically it's gonna move this part, which is gonna be your heading. This little clip right here, or this thing, I actually printed with my 3D printer. So like that, I can, it's very sturdy, and I can screw it on like this. I use some hot glue over it. I know it's messy. I'm pretty sure there's different ways to do it. You can find it online. Maybe they even sell it already made. How I said, if I were to do this again, I'll probably do a couple things a little bit different. But hey, this is the way I did it, and it worked out. And I'm just trying to share some information for you guys, so like that I can help you guys to build it and not buy extra unnecessary stuff, right? Now we're gonna go over and I'm gonna show you the back part of the MCP, okay? Okay, once again, I'm so sorry for the mess. I used the wrong wiring. It still works, but this wire is too thick. I didn't really need to. How I said it was the first time. I want to show you guys right here. Let me move this a little bit. Okay, so you're gonna see I applied some hot glue over all the wherever I had a wire that was that you can touch or you can interface with another wire and give me an error. So for the 7-segment displays, they tell you a lot of times when you buy the panels or things like that, and you can look online, it's gonna tell you should buy like the blue PCB, which is a 7-segment display that comes with the Max 7219 already assembled together. It's an 8-digit display, or you can buy the ones that I bought. It's the green one, which the green is the same exact thing, Max 7219. It comes assembled, but you can actually take off the actual LED, the 7-segment, off from the PCB board and put it back on. It comes with already with a solder, like a pin that you can take off and on. And what I did is basically I took it off. If you can see right here, I glued in the 7-segment, and I actually soldered one wire on each pin to create basically an extension to the board. I don't know if you can see it here. It's kind of messy. Sorry about that. So I did this for one reason. I'll show you guys when I on the computer in the panel. What I mean is, if you cannot fit the whole 7 segment in here, it's not gonna fit together. Especially if you have a few of the 7 segment, it has to be the 5 digit display. The way I did it like this is because it was my first time, and I didn't feel like I wanted to go ahead and try and build like a whole 7 segment out of from scratch. You're gonna see the Simvim. They actually have the instructions. It's not really that hard. If it was now, I really recommend it to do it. It takes a little bit of time, but it might be better than having to do all this. But still, I really liked it. It came out really organized and neat. The cables, it works perfectly fine. It fit right in. For over here, for the, as you can see, for the vertical speed and altitude, each 7 segment display is 8 digits. You know, when you buy them, but you only need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For example, this one's 6 and this one's 6. So to make it fit, what I actually did in two of them, the two of the little 7 segments, I actually went and I cut them with a little saw. Just the tip of two of the 7 segment displays of the 4 digits in the corner. I cut them about a quarter of an inch, so it fit all 4 in there. You just gotta be really careful if you're gonna do that, because you want to look through the back of the 7 segment. It's clear, it's like a glue, and it's clear, but you want to look that you don't take off too much of the pins inside of the little strip that you see, basically, because then some of them might not work. So you want to take off just about a quarter of an inch to make it fit in here, and that's why I have the wires like this. You can see the wires are basically, I created an extension for each 7 segment, so like that I could fit it in without having to use a breadboard and building a whole 7 segment display. How I said, you can do it this way. If you need more instructions or you want to ask me a couple questions, it's fine. Let me know. Shoot me an email message. If not, I recommend, go online and look up how to build it yourself. You're basically gonna have to buy the Max 7219 little boards and a breadboard and put it there, and wire it to the 7 segment. It's not that hard. And then you can just buy different single digits of 7 segments, or you can buy the ones that already come like 5 or 6 7 segment displays. They're really hard to get, so just be careful when you buy this all the hardware. For example, if you go on Amazon and things like that, you're gonna probably, I still have like 20 of them because you buy them in bulk. Amazon really doesn't sell them 2 or 3. Usually it's like a pack of 5 or 10. For this little push buttons, I'll put the link. I actually bought it from this company based in California. I didn't want to buy it on Amazon, AliExpress. AliExpress takes too long, and Amazon, they sell them in a pack of 5 or 6, I don't recall, but they come in different colors. So I wanted only to buy the green ones, of course. So I went to this company. They sell them for like 85 cents each, so it's not really that expensive. They work just fine. They're really good quality. And that's the only push buttons I use. Even for this ones right here, you see it works. Even for this ones, I didn't need them to light up, so I still use this one. I just didn't connect the LED lights, and it still works perfectly fine. Okay. All right. So this is what I was telling you guys. This the shield is about $32 in Amazon. Very easy to use. Right here, let me show you. This, the Simvim, they have everything detailed. How do you see inputs, outputs? That's what I was talking about. That's the difference. So that's a controller pin. That will be for an output, and then for input is this one. How I said, you don't really need to use a lot of them. It's only $6, so I suggest buying at least a little pack and going from there. But remember, this little things, I only use one, really. I only needed to use one. But if you're going to be building a whole cockpit, I suggest trying to maximize the use of this, so like that you have more extra pins. Basically here on the website is going to tell you which different position of toggle switches, different type of hardware that you can use and things like that, how to wire them, how they work, the position, things like that. Let me show you guys. This is the wiring that I bought. How I said I wouldn't buy it again. It's really good wire, really good quality. I loved it, but at the end of the day, it was too big. This, I think 18. Let's see. Yeah, 18 gauge wire. It's too thick. It's stranded wire, so I suggest using the one I show you guys, which is a solid core wire, um, and even a little bit smaller. Then over you see like this, something like that, 30 gauge. It's gonna tell you the difference, So it's a very good website to use. Now, when you go into simvim.com, you're gonna see the start configure. That's where you're basically gonna download the plugin, and you're gonna go ahead and you're gonna go from there and start building your project, right? So I don't know what's taking so long. I had this open since yesterday, so let's see. So this is a configurator. This is the part you're gonna be using a lot. I want to go back to the Alright, so right here, this is the 7-segment display that I used. This is the green PCB. You're gonna see there is some that they sell as the same exact one, but it's a blue PCB, which is the motherboard. The difference is the blue one is already soldered on, although the actual display. This one you can take it off and put it back on. It has the pins already and everything so in place. So it's better to use, especially if you want to use one half or depending. Do not daisy chain them. You're gonna see a lot of even some of the builders they daisy chain, but with SimVim, they actually suggest to use go ahead and direct wire them or use a multiplexer, an extension. It's very simple. It's gonna even if you go there on the website, you're gonna see. I'll put the link. They actually have everything detailed. So basically, you're gonna have 5 pin or every single 7-segment with the board with the Mega 75. With the board, the 2560, you're gonna see I only use one board, of course. And all right, for the 7-segment display, what I did is I used the green LED. 1, 2, 3, go. All right, for the 7-segment display, what I use is the green PCB because you can actually take this off and on with the pins. If you buy the blue one, they already come soldered on, so you cannot take it off and do what I did with the wiring, or only use half of this if you want to, things like that. You have more room to play with this ones. As you can see for the wiring on SimVim, if you go there, they have all the information on how to wire them, even if you're gonna be wiring them directly, or if you're gonna be using a multiplexer, an extension. So basically, when you wire them, it's gonna be 5 pins. One is gonna be ground, the common ground. One is gonna be for the VCC, which is the 5 volts. One is for the signal. I don't recall if it's this one or all the way in the bottom, but anyway, yeah, it's two of them. 2 of the remaining pins are for the D and L, the signal wires basically, and the last one is the pin, which is basically the one that you assign to your Mega, to your board. So let's say you assign this 7-segment display to your Mega pin, let's say, I don't know, 5. And then if you're gonna put a multiple of them, you have your second one. So same thing. You can these 2 pins, I believe it's the 27, 28. You can use the same pins on your Mega. It's a common one. And then the ground, of course, same thing. You can ground, VCC, and then the last one is the signal. So if you use for this one the pin number 5, then for this one you can use pin number 6, whatever you want, and so on. Okay. Hopefully it makes sense. Is a little bit more detailed on SimVim there. They have the information on how to wire them if you need to. This is the shield I was talking to you. I was telling you guys about this one. Sorry for the bad quality, but basically this goes right on top. I did not need to use any transformer or anything to power this. I used the cable that came with it, USB cable, and then you're gonna see that the pins are on top. The numbers, and then you just put the wire, and it's gonna have a little screw that you secure the wire, and that's it. Very easy to use, very good. I really recommend this, especially if you're gonna first time and you're moving cables around and things like that. Okay. See, for the multiplexer, this is what I was talking about. This multiplexer, this little board, sorry about that. See, it's gonna help you a lot, especially if you're gonna be doing a lot of like a big build, like a whole cockpit. What it does is basically it multiplies 1 pin into 16 pins, and you can actually assign different, different signal or different hardware here. So you can have a toggle button, you can have push buttons and things like that as an input. And then same thing, if you're gonna use, you can either put it as an input or output. So I or O. So an output basically is gonna be anything that's gonna give an output like a 7-segment display, an LED light, things like that. And then input is gonna be basically anything that's like a push button, toggle display, anything that you're gonna actually simulate into your sim. Now the only difference is they both work. You can connect them as an input or output. The only difference is the wire in here. There's gonna be one of the wires is this two right here, if I'm not confused. Yeah, common ground. So these two are gonna be ground, and then there's gonna be the VCC, the 5 volts, and then the last pin, I believe it's this one. It's gonna be basically the pin in your Mega. Let's say pin number 6 or whatever, and then the rest is gonna be just the 4 common address lines. And how I said, on Simvim there, it was gonna tell you exactly how to wire this, as an input or output, depending how you want it. It's very detailed. The big difference, really, these 2 wires. That for an input is gonna be this 2 is gonna be ground, and then as an output, this wire, it goes into a different signal line. That's just the main difference. But you can use this, and you can have 600 different push buttons. You can basically almost wire your whole cockpit to the 1 Mega, 1 Arduino Mega R3. Now the only thing is, depending on how many LEDs and things like that, I did not need to buy any resistors for the LED. This LEDs right here, because I only using like 16 if I'm not mistaken. But now, if you're gonna build something big, I recommend buying a resistor so you can control the voltage and not overwhelm your system. Alright, so here comes the fun part, basically assigning the pins. So once you already install the plugin to your X-Plane and it's up and running, then you're going to come to the configurator. You're going to click on BOEING 737. You're going to click right here, and then you have your MCP. Now, it doesn't matter if it looks different from, if this Collins you're using Haswell or the NG, like for mine it's working perfectly fine. Basically here, this is your board. The 2560 is already here. And every pin you can assign here wherever you're going to assign. If you're going to add a multiplexer for a 7-segment, LED driver, things like that. And there's different options. You see right here. So it's very simple for, let's say, the speed selector, right? So you're gonna assign it. You're gonna see that every single encoder that you assign a pin is gonna actually choose 2. It's gonna have 2. Why? Remember I showed you that every encoder has 3 pins. The middle one ground, or typically that's what it is. The middle one is the ground, and then the other 2 is up or down, basically. In other words, so basically it's gonna have 2, and then you're gonna go from there. You're gonna, let's say, altitude. You're gonna choose this 2. You see, it's pretty simple. If you're using a multiplexer, all you have to do is click on the pin, add input multiplexer, and then you see you're gonna have 16 pins. So from 0 to 15, that's 16 options, and then you're gonna start you're gonna select the input. You're gonna click 0. Let's say you're gonna assign this one, like 2, 3, like that. Every single one you can connect different things. Now for 7-segment, same thing. So over here is only gonna let you choose to add a multiplexer for a 7-segment. So you're gonna assign it there. 7-segment display. You're gonna, oh, I'm sorry, I actually missed something. So you're gonna encounter this error. So when you assign a multiplexer for a 7-segment, first you gotta go there and connect 7.7 display. This is the settings where you're gonna choose if you have the MAX 7219, the TM1637, depending on which module you have. I recommend using the MAX 7219. Then after that, that's when you're gonna see now it says 7-segment, right? But now you still gotta assign the value. So you go there, you click it, click on 0, click there, and this shift position, this is basically where you're gonna put how many times is the number gonna jump 1 segment to the left. So if you're assigning, an 8-digit 7-segment display, and you're assigning like the heading and the course, you're gonna put let's say this one first. You're gonna leave it like that, and then you're gonna come back here on 1, connect 7.7, same thing. Now let's say we assign it was a heading, right? Well, the course right here. And then once you go back to the multiplexer, you assign it here, then you don't want any numbers overlapping. Since 8 digits and you already assign a one that has 3 digits, you're gonna have to move it 5 to the left, let's say. I might be wrong, but it's something like that. So that's when you click 5, you put done. Simple as that. Let's say if it doesn't work, the numbers are overlapping, it's giving you an error, you can always come back and right here, edit, and okay, it wasn't 5, it was 3 only. Okay, fix it, go back and forth. Same thing, you're gonna see each single button here is gonna have this is the momentary switch, the green LED push buttons. You can assign it, and then this is the LED. So basically, it's the LED driver. I connected all my LEDs directly to the board. They all worked fine. I didn't need a driver or anything. So the LEDs from every single switch I showed you. It was pretty simple. Now here, this is where you're gonna connect the. Let me show you guys right here. Where's my, okay, so right here from 30 to 37, that's where I connected my 7-segment display. So connect 7-segment. That's if you're gonna do a direct wiring. If you're gonna, the way I did it, I connected every single 7-segment here. So basically it was direct wire there. I didn't need to use a multiplexer. Now when you do this, for example, when I showed you guys that I created the extension, basically I welded every cable from the 7-segment to the board. I did that so like that one single 7-segment module with 8 digits, I could put 4 digits here and 4 digits here, and I assigned the same for one whole module with the extension, so it fits right in. And the same thing right here. So I used one 7-segment right here. So this was 8 digits, and then over here was 8 digits and 8 digits. I just cut them. How I told you guys, and then the last one was 1 right here and 1 right here, I believe. Well, yeah, I only used 4 in total. Now every time you do this, you're gonna go ahead and click save. Let me take that away. So what you want to do is do not click save, put save as, and it should open already. I have it here like Simvim. You see data CFG, that's your file, so be careful with this. So let's say if I were to click save right now, it will overwrite already my settings. But let's say if you're already building something, you can close this up, and a week from now you want to change something, you can always come here, click edit, then data CFG. It's gonna open. You see, there's all my settings. So let me show you guys. So this is what I have: multiplexer on pin number 8. These are 7 segments. Right. These are all the LEDs. They're over here from A0 all the way to A13. Those are the LED momentary push buttons. Now you're gonna see that for example, the heading selector, the bank one, this one right here, it has 2 options. It has the heading, of course, and then it has the bank. The bank uses 5 inputs, 5 pins, because the bank, 10, 30, so it's giving you 5 different options all the way to 30. So it's the one I showed you guys that I welded through a back to make 5 pins out of 12, and then you're gonna assign that. So let's say if I were to assign this, I'm gonna show you guys anywhere. I think it works here. Okay, so you see, assign 5 pins. So each single wire that I show you guys goes to 15, 16 on the board, and then the heading selector is basically just 2 pins, so you can connect that anywhere. Let's say here. Now, if you're gonna save this, once again, you just put save. Let me take this out so you can see save, and then save as. Make sure it's going there. And then once you click save, okay, I'm not gonna do it, but it's gonna tell you it already exists. Do you want to replace it? And you're gonna click yes. In this case, I'm not gonna do it because I don't want to ruin my setup already. And that's it for the actual configurator. It's very simple. If you see right here, let me see if I can show you guys. Let me see. Input output wire. Here they have every single detail, everything, how to wire them. Key matrix, stepper drivers, cockpit controls. It shows you like everything, the wiring, the pins on the thing. You can assign multiple different switches to the 7-segment. I'm sorry, to the multiplexer and so on. All right. So last thing I'm gonna show you guys is a plugin on X-Plane, how it works, and then I think we should be done. Yeah, see you in a little bit. All right. So here you're gonna see. Sorry about the noise. this is the last part. So basically, you're gonna be using this a lot. I spent already like 100 hours, I think, using the airplane part. So it actually works when you load it up. Almost a lot of planes, it works. The MCP will actually work. Um, so it's really cross compatible, I guess. But yeah, you're gonna go right here on Simvim. Every time you connect your Mega, you gotta go here, your board. You're gonna put however you connect. It's gonna tell you this. So it's connected. It's working right now. If you were to see my MCP, it's completely on. Now, every time you make a new you save a new file with inputs and settings and things like that, over there in Simvim in the website, you're gonna have to click Reload Configuration, and like that. I'm getting this error right now because probably one of the pins assigned is giving me an error, but I'll check it out. But yeah, you're gonna Reload Configuration, and that's it. Now, if you want to test that out, you can always click right here where it says Input Options, and every time you click something, it's gonna show up here. So let me see if I can actually do it. So you see, I click right here that, and it's telling me what input or what it is. So like that, you can have an idea. Sometimes, it's gonna happen where you're gonna assign the wrong thing to the wrong place, and you're gonna be able to check. A lot of times, I was things to watch out for. For example, this, since you're parked, your level, you're not even flying. It wasn't working, and I was going crazy. I didn't know why this wasn't lighting up on the MCP, and then I noticed, I'm like, wait, I'm on the ground. It's not supposed to work. So things like that. Um, so you can always go ahead and reload this as many times. Sometimes you're gonna have to disconnect it from the computer and connect it again and put it however you connect. But yeah, it's pretty simple, straightforward progress. Everything that you move on the MCP on the build is actually gonna move here. So if you press, let's say this, if I were to move to the MCP, it will actually move here on the carpet, which is pretty cool. Righty, well, I guess this is the end of it. Please share the video, like it, subscribe, or even shoot me a message if you need help, if you have any other questions. I try my best to explain everything with details. How I said, first of all, I don't work for Simvim. This was my first time building something like this. It worked out pretty good. Just went from different pages, information, things like that. I hope to share everything that I went through. If you have any questions, shoot me an email. Find me on Facebook. Go on my website. It's 3dmhsimulations.com, and I'll be more than glad to help anybody that needs any advice or details. All right. So thank you, and see you next time.